Okay, so I'm gonna say this because it's on my mind, and you know me, when it's on my mind, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it and get it off my chest. Hopefully, I will still have some friends after this is said and done. Hopefully, so. Um, but what's on my mind now is social reproduction. And I know a lot of my friends already know what social reproduction is, so I'm not trying to belittle anyone's level of knowledge or understanding by explaining it, but I'm just going to explain it anyway, just for those who may not even know what it is, may not be aware of the social reproduction that they are reproducing. And so I'm just going to say it again because I'm a thinker, I'm a philosopher. I think all the time. Right now it is 5:02 a.m. I haven't been to bed. I've just been up thinking. That's what I do. So usually when I think, I write, but it's so much, and they're going into this new technology to where you can vlog. So I'm blogging via video. So these are my thoughts. Hopefully they will go down in posterity because it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to me. Hopefully it'll make a lot of sense to somebody in the future. But when I talk about social reproduction, what that is a process which sustains or perpetuates characteristics of a social structure, the whole structure, or even tradition over a period of time. And I know a lot of people understand tradition. So tradition is the same pretty much as social reproduction in my mind. It's just that instead of tradition being to the family, this is our tradition, social reproduction, it happens socially, culturally, it happens. So that's what social reproduction is. So, and I'll give you an example of that. A lot of people are reproducing wealth. A lot of people are reproducing wealth. They are, if they are a doctor, chances are their granddad was a doctor, and their dad was a doctor. So guess what? I'm going to be a doctor. Or my mom's an attorney, and my grandmother was an attorney, and her mom was an attorney. So guess what? I'm going to be an attorney. So socially, they're reproducing after their own kind, and that's really a good thing, to reproduce after your own kind. Because you're reproducing wealth, and that's a good thing. So if you're turning out doctors, lawyers, judges, scientists, mathematicians, just wealth, you're creating wealth and you're reproducing it, that's wonderful, and it's working the way it's supposed to work socially. Except when it comes to the African American. When it comes to the African American, we're not reproducing wealth. We're not reproducing wealth. We are reproducing fear. We're reproducing fear. Now, allow me to validate that. When I say that, I'm thinking more specifically in terms of the situation that's going on right now in McKinney, Texas, and the way that African Americans are expected to respond to and behave as it relates to the police. So, our ancestors passed down that you don't question them, you just do what they say, because I want you to come home safely, and I don't want them to kill you, so don't question them. And if you have rights and they violate your rights, we'll deal with that later, but I want you to come home safe. So that's what the parents maybe taught your parents. No, I'm sorry, your grandparents maybe taught your parents that, and now your parents taught you that, and now you're teaching it to your kids. So you are socially reproducing fear. Not wealth, not education, not even teaching them their rights, but fear. And we have a lot of Not all, by no means, and I'm not saying this for every African American family, because I know it's not true for every African American family, because it's not true for me. But there are quite a few, the vast majority, that are passing down and socially reproducing fear, because that's what was taught to them, and that's what they're teaching their children, and that's what their children is going to teach their children, and the cycle continues. Now, if we're ever going to get to the point where we can actually see the dream come to fruition that Dr. Martin Luther King shared with us, and that one day that his three little children would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. If we're ever going to get to that point, we're going to have to do more than reproduce fear. We will never get to that point and see that dream fulfilled if we keep reproducing fear. And that fear comes from a slave mentality, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth anyway, because we have to change our way of thinking. We cannot continue to socially reproduce fear.